So the Burning Crusade has been announced and many people are wondering what can I do right now to prepare for when the Dark Portal opens. Luckily I have 10 very useful tips for you to prepare yourself for the Burning Legion. But let's not mess around, let's jump straight in. You can very easily, when TBC launches, get a half of a level if you stack quests. The best ones to go for are the dungeon and raid quests, which provide 14,000 experience, whereas normal quests from high level zones like Wintergrasp and Western Plaguelands will only provide 11,000. Bearing in mind the quest XP does get boosted in the Burning Crusade. So you can pick up quests like the Heart of a Car Drop, Head of Onyxia, Blackrock Depth Quest, Lower Blackrock Spire, Upper Blackrock Spire. It will probably be best to stay on the same continent if you're really trying to min-max and reduce that travel time before you actually jump into Outland. You may also want to prioritise quests that quickly lead into new quests that can very quickly be completed, so you can actually complete extra quest chains before you actually jump into Hellfire. A good example of this, if you haven't already done it, is the Onyxia Attunement questline, because you literally just have to fly between Redridge and Stormwind City to get loads and loads of XP. I will be making a more precise and detailed guide on the best way to do this in the future, so be sure to subscribe so you don't miss that video. The second tip is you probably want to start sorting out your professions, because the professions meta totally changes in the Burning Crusade. Crafting gear becomes a new meta rather than everyone just going engineering. For instance, a maid will want to get their tailoring to craft Spellstrike and Spellfire gear because it's very strong. It's not just strong pre-raid, but well into tier 5, so it will last you a good 6 months, maybe even more, and this is the case for many different classes. For some of the pieces you will actually require tailoring skill to be leveled up, plus you will have to use tailoring and alchemy cooldowns to make it in the first place, which leads me into my third point, because you may want to start setting up profession slave alts to utilise the maximum efficiency of those profession cooldowns. Because you can be the guy who's crafting 4 spellcloth pieces a week, or with an alt you can be crafting 8 pieces per week, or with 3 characters you can be crafting 12 pieces per week, which also in the long run is going to make you truckloads of gold. And you can apply this tip with alchemy cooldowns too, so you can get the tailoring specializations quite easily at level 60. You just have to go to Shatterer and probably get a friend to help you to kill certain enemies on the questline. But to get specializations for alchemy, you will have to level your characters up to 68. Remember, in the Burning Crusade pre-patch you can boost a character to level 58, which could help with this task. The last profession tip that I can give you is, if you're going to go for jewel crafting, you can farm all the materials right now and get to level 300 on day 1 of the pre-patch. The reason why I say the pre-patch is because since we're getting Draenei and Blood Elf early, the trainers will very likely be available in the pre-patch. So here are the materials on the screen right now, and I will leave a link in the description as this is taken directly from the Warcraft Tavern website. So in the pre-patch, Blizzard made it much easier to get the rank 14 PvP gear. For people who have leveled a fresh alt or used the character boost feature, or for instance a paladin who's been running around in a dress for 2 years healing raids, in very desperate need of a big two-handed weapon, then getting a PvP gear will be a very good option for you. The gear will require marks of honor, which you can start farming right now the second you stop watching this video. Okay, the honor system will also shift into a currency system in the pre-patch, so I imagine everyone will get a hard factory reset on their honor and have to farm the honor points so you can actually buy the pieces of gear. But you can get the marks of honor right now in preparation, and you can also turn in those marks of honor for experience when the Burning Crusade launches. If you're a healer or a fresh boosted character, you may also want to try and get some hands on some half decent leveling gear. Okay, if you have Naxxramas on farm and the other raids on farm, then you're going to be in a situation where loot is probably being thrown away because nobody needs it or it's been disenchanted. What you need to start doing is off-speccing it for the Burning Crusade leveling. You could also plug Zul'Gurub and AQ20 for some really easy, decent gear. What is going to be interesting is, in the pre-patch, your meme spec in Classic WoW will become more powerful, so you will be able to main spec an enhancement shaman for instance, and then main spec roll on gear that is useful to you, for leveling. As a side note, I think this is going to be a very interesting moment in World of Warcraft's history because although it's going to be very brief, all of the meme specs are going to be viable in classic raids. It's the closest thing you're ever going to get to a classic plus experience, and unfortunately it's probably only going to last a single month. Right, number 7 is a pretty obvious and easy one. You need to start farming gold, okay? Obviously if you're a mage, you're probably already taking advantage of insane gold farms available to you, so do it while you can, because in the future it will be harder for you to farm dungeons. Personally, I'm a rogue, I don't have access to these insane gold farms, so what I'm doing is I'm farming Skeleton Monastery for Grave Moss and Fade Leaf while I can. You know, I can only really farm 120 gold per hour if I'm really fast and I'm lucky, and I'm honestly only doing it once a day, so I roughly get about 35 gold per day, and it does only take me about 20 minutes, and I'm going to do this every single day until the Burning Crusade launches. Now, when you do start getting a lot of gold, what you can do is invest that gold into alt characters, because you can power level them by paying for boosts. Depending on your server, it will roughly cost you 1000 gold to get from level 15 to level 60. Although I feel like the prices are bumping up just a little bit because everyone is preparing for TBC. But anyway, you can obviously use these alts to power level more professions for more profession cooldowns like we mentioned earlier. A few people I've been talking to have actually set up multiple accounts and are boosting their other account over and over to have their own personal army or profession slaves for a Burning Crusade, so you can go to that level extreme if you want to as well. Next tip, you want to start stocking up on consumes rather than using them in Naxxramas. Well, if you're still farming Naxxramas, then fair enough, but closer to the TBC date you want to stop actually consuming them and stocking them up. So elixirs and flasks, they don't depreciate in value like weapon enchants do as you level up, so that I think they're going to be especially useful in dungeon farming, you know, if you're going down that avenue, because a fully, you know, a party decked out in full consumes and world buffs before level 63 are just going to absolutely own Burning Crusade dungeons and get truckloads of XP. I think making the effort to get consumables will slightly increase your XP farmed per hour, so I definitely think it's worth doing, particularly as Blizzard I think are considering increasing the daily dungeon cap. So for general leveling, you may want to start stocking up on swiftness potions for whether you are in an interior area like a cave or something, so you can escape it very quickly. I do have a big video about all the very useful leveling items that you can check out also on my channel. I'll put that in the description too. So my last tip, saved it for last because it's the most long-term tip on this list. What you want to do is start to get to know your pre-dungeon, not your pre-raid best in slot. Okay, you want to, well, to be fair, you want to know your pre-raid best in slot, but you mainly also want to learn your pre-dungeon best in slot. Okay, first of all, sometimes your pre-raid best in slot will actually be your pre-dungeon best in slot too. Okay, what I'm meaning by this is gear that you can get from BOEs and quests. Okay, the reason why I say this is because you can get really useful gear which may be best in slot, and it may just drop from a random quest. So you don't want to be in a situation where you're leveling up as a feral druid, you're just picking like agility gear non-stop, but you missed a chance to get your best in slot pre-raid piece for your restoration druid that you're going to respec into when you get to level 70, so be mindful of everything like that. And my advice is, first of all, you want to start doing the Karazhan achievement early, but to do Karazhan achievement early, you have to start doing very difficult dungeons like Shadow Labyrinth, TK dungeons and Black Morass, okay, which will require some half-decent gear, okay, because, especially with Black Morass, because that is a big DPS check. If you don't know the dungeon, what essentially happens is you just outside of a dark portal and loads of dragons and stuff start coming in waves and waves, and if you don't kill them fast enough, the next wave will spawn. Well, actually it's timed, so that the next wave will spawn indefinitely, so you need to kill every wave fast enough before the next wave comes, so you have a little chance to get some mana back. So it can be very difficult if your DPS is too low to do that dungeon. It really is a DPS check dungeon. If you can't complete that dungeon, you cannot complete your Karazhan achievement early. So learn the optimal stats for your class and start to pick up the awesome quest rewards from the higher level zones, like, you know, basically from Blade Edge Mountains all the way up to Shadowman Valley and at Netherstorm, but sometimes you even get really decent pieces in Taroko Forest as well, actually in Nagran, so yeah, just be extremely mindful of all of your best in slot gear. Just a bonus tip while it's in my mind, the weapons from the Nagrand Arena Ring of Blood will be very useful if you're wanting to do all of these really high level dungeons early for your Karazhan achievement. So there you go, Bob's Runco wouldn't be a MetaGoblin The hell? Let's do that one again. So, Bob's your uncle. Wouldn't be a, MetaGoblin video without me saying that. So anyway, my name is MetaGoblin. Until my next video, ciao.